Thank you for watching Dro TV. Welcome back to the CannaBiz show. Our guest today is Corey Milsap from Harvest AF Financial Consulting and the Cannabruhz Podcast. Corey, thanks for coming on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's definitely an honor. Definitely excited to share as much information I can and help the cannabis community.
We met at the CBD Expo, yourself and your partner, Jarrell. We were able to have a conversation with him on my first time, so I'm going to link that down below. Your podcast is definitely very informative. You guys are super energetic, and you get some great guests on there, have some awesome conversations, so I definitely recommend everybody go check out the Cannabruhz as well. So, Corey, why don't we start with a little bit about yourself and how you got into accounting and Harvest AF Financial Consulting?
Hey, well, as everybody knows, my name is Corey Milsap. I am an enrolled agent, and I am half of Harvest AF Financial Consulting. We got into the financial industry. We started as a tax office, and we were doing taxes. I think we started in 2015 or 2016. Time, after a while, time just becomes a blur. And, we were servicing individuals, and we decided we wanted to kind of step away from just servicing individuals and niche down a little bit more and explore a different industry and focus on businesses. And so, we were just looking at the different types of avenues we could go, whether, it was like renewable energy or if you want to go virtual currency. And one of the industries was cannabis. You're like, cannabis? And this was around 2019 time frame.
Okay.
And we started doing our research in the cannabis. We're like, wow, this is it. This is it. No need to check out any other industry. We were fully vested, not only because it's cannabis, but because of the history, because of the culture, all of that, and since then, we went from a tax office to Harvest AF. Actually, we started off as Harvest Accounting Firm. I had to think of the name. We changed the name, Harvest Accounting Firm. But just due to state laws, I am an EA. Jarrell does the bookkeeping piece, and we have accountants and CPAs that work with us. But because in the state of Texas, if you don't have a CPA on as an owner of the brand, you can't use the term accounting firm, even if you got your degree in accounting, which is strange. But okay. So we made a shift. Now we are Harvest AF Financial Consulting. And I like that better anyways, for the fact of we do want to hop more into the consulting realm. And our goal is to help as many mom and pop businesses, social equity clients. That's where our passion really lies, is helping those that are in the fight every day, in the grind every day of the cannabis industry, not knowing if they're going to be open next month. That's where we come in to help you succeed on the financial aspect, as well as, provide you with some guidance.
Excellent. And it is a budding industry. There's all kinds of businesses, entrepreneurs, services opening up every day in this space. So I think you guys definitely made a smart move. How much of your business is actually related to the cannabis industry?
Oh, it's about 85%, I would say.
Okay.
So
wow.
we have plant touching on the marijuana side, so recreational use or medical marijuana businesses that we work with. We have some hemp, CBD businesses. We have some ancillary businesses that we work with. And then we have a few clients that are non-canna whatsoever, that is like, hey, man, we like how y'all operate. We want to work with you. And so, we help them out. But about 85% of our portfolio is within the cannabis space.
Now, I know Texas, is there a medical program in Texas or no?
It's super small. We got the compassionate use program, and there's one cultivator it's like an oligarchy. There's
Yeah, yeah.
one company that handles the cultivating, and then there's like one or two companies that handle the distribution, retail, medical marijuana side. And then you got to fall into certain elements to fit. But I mean, outside of that, it's strictly CBD hemp in Texas.
So I would imagine most of your business is companies that's operating outside the state of Texas.
Yeah, yeah. And it's very interesting because when we got started, we're like, all right, let's do what we can to help Texas. But, sometimes you got to work outside in. And in this event, we got clients that Colorado, East Coast, like Massachusetts, um, uh, Detroit. It's just like, wow, we definitely appreciate the love that we've been getting from just the recreational use, Oklahoma recreational use states, as well as medical marijuana. And here in Texas, we've worked with a couple of CBD hemp brands, more on the consulting side or some of the ancillary businesses. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely looking to get our roots deeper in Texas. But at the moment, we have, most of our clientele is outside of Texas.
Cool. Well, hey, just doing business outside of the state may bring some information and resources to help you when and if, the state finally passes medicinal and recreation, or maybe that gives you the leg up for helping get these things passed in Texas, just from dealing with all these other businesses in other states. Now, the Cannabruhz podcast, is that something you guys started as a means to bring in leads and network, or is that more of like a passion thing? Because you guys are certainly great hosts. You're very passionate on there. So let's talk a little bit about the podcast.
Yeah, and great question. So the Cannabruhz Podcast started as a way to pretty much differentiate ourselves when it comes to financial services. So when it comes to many type of trade businesses, there's a lot of introverts in those businesses, right? They rather focus on the craft. I'd rather focus on your financials than actually talk to you. And that's a lot of their mindset. They don't want to focus on marketing. They don't want to focus on, necessarily being in the movement. They just want to focus on their lane. If you think of a bowling alley, you put the bumpers up. That's it right there. Trying to get to the pins. For us, we're extroverted. We like talking to people. We like actually being out there. And when we got into the cannabis space, we went into it with the mindset of this isn't just, an occupation for us. We're not doing this just to make money. We actually want to be a part of the community. This is actually a lifestyle for us. And so we live and breathe cannabis, literally and figuratively. No, but yeah, so we decided to launch the Cannabruhz, not knowing, anything about podcasting, not knowing anything about just marketing like that in the space. And we was like, look, we just gotta do it. You never know until you take that step forward to see if it's gonna work or not. And we took that leap of faith, and we just been blessed. We've been blessed that we've received or that we've been received by the cannabis community, that we have been able to have a platform that can help accentuate other businesses out there that are trying to come up and really be a part of the movement. I think the Cannabruhz Podcast transitioned from the Cannabruhz Podcast to Cannabruhz Media because so much more outside of the podcast has happened. Hence, we were how we met at the CBD Expo. They asked us to come on tour with them after us being introduced to them at the tour stop as Harvest AF. They said, we like what you do. Can you, would y'all like to come on tour with us? And this is what we can do to, make it work for you all. And we're like, hell yeah, yeah, let's do it. And I mean, it's just been a blessing. We got to, meet so many people from. I had never been to Minnesota before, ever, and never thought of going to Minnesota. And we got the opportunity to go to St. Paul, Minnesota, and meet so many amazing businesses out there, so many amazing people. Check out St. Paul and Minneapolis. And I mean, it was just a great experience. And then we go to Orlando and we got to meet individuals such as yourself, see all the different products that are out there. And that's one thing I have to say about the cannabis industry. The cannabis industry is so innovative. A lot of people outside of cannabis, they just think it's just smoking weed and edibles. It's like, no, people have learned to turn a plant into a house. People have learned to turn the one plant into so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's natural. And it's just amazing. So, the Cannabruhz Podcast has definitely been an experience, a great marketing tool for Harvest AF. Originally, we started talking about financials and everything on the podcast, but it's evolved from there where we can talk about so much more and just shed so much light outside of the financial industry.
No, that's great. And some great points too about this plant. And cannabis users are resourceful people, trying to make a bong 20 years ago, you had to figure out, you had to be quite the resourceful person. So,
right.
And hempcrete and everything else that's available from this plant that we've barely scratched the surface of. That's why I think your podcast is great, because you have a wide range of guests on there. You guys talk about a lot of different topics, and this type of media is getting more of these conversations, these topics, these ideas out there, because maybe a financial cannabis podcast doesn't reach as many people, and so you guys made another great move expanding that. So I got another question. Hey everybody, I want to quickly mention Food Forest Abundance. Food Forest Abundance is a great way to create your own self-sustaining food forest and naturally occurring ecosystem that's commonly found in nature, but designed specifically for you. Through multiple layers of trees, shrubs, herbs, vines, rhizomes, mushrooms, and perennial vegetables, you can become your own supply chain without the typical maintenance required of a garden. From small spaces to large areas, both urban and suburban, Food Forest Abundance wants us to get back to our roots in nature by engaging with our food production in a meaningful way. For more information, click on the link in the description below and start your journey today. Okay, let's get back to today's episode. I started my first business when I was 19. I've always had businesses kind of around each other. I used to have a record label, a DJ business. I still have a record label, but how does the two play off each other? And, is one more of a tax write-off than the next? I guess maybe that's the question I should ask.
So let me just rephrase, make sure I'm understanding your question. So you have two businesses that play into each other.
Let me rephrase the question, because I know I was kind of mealy-mouthed there. I'm speaking with you. I'm speaking to you. Speaking to you specifically. Okay, so you've got Harvest, you've got Harvest AF Financial Consulting, you've got the Cannabruhz Media. When you guys go on tour, who's paying the bill?
Okay, great question. So the Cannabruhz is sponsored by Harvest AF.
Okay.
And so through us engaging, on the financial side and helping so many different businesses, we're able to allot funds for the marketing piece for the Cannabruhz Media. And so when it comes to write-offs, I mean, there's deductions on both sides. I mean, because any business has costs, and the cost of doing business 9 times out of 10 is a deduction, with the exception of if you're a recreational use business or medical marijuana. If you touch marijuana, there's 280E that's involved, and you can't write off your deductions. You can't receive the credits. You can't receive the benefits that a regular business normally can, which is extremely unfortunate, all because if you look at hemp and if you look at marijuana, the only thing that's differentiating in the eyes of the government is that 0.3% dry weight delta 9 THC, right? So you're telling me if this plant right here is 0.3 and this plant is 0.31, right? Looks the same, smells the same effects right here, right? This one's illegal and this one's legal, all for some made up statistics.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's crazy to me. But to answer your question, yeah. So there are, when we travel with the Cannabruhz media, traveling costs, all of that's deductible, right? As long as it's for business purposes. And then on the accounting firm, marketing, cost of our staff, the cost of all of that, you got to pay all that out as well. So yeah, they both have their pros and cons to it.
I used to work for a construction company, and the guy was a real estate developer. We had a building company, a construction company. Everything was separate entities, and it was always just moving money around. Okay, well, this guy's going to take the deduction this year. This company's going to take a loss this year. And so when I'm a DJ. I was a DJ for like 20 years, and I had the record label. Every now and then the record label would hire the DJ. Right. And so I was curious. I guess that was probably more of a personal question. I don't know if anyone's really interested in the answer to that, but
well, you can do that. You can be two separate entities, and then one entity contracts the other entity for use. And people do this. So okay. I'm glad we're actually having this conversation.
Good.
So people do this in the cannabis industry on the tax side, right? So they set up their entities. All right, this one's going to be our actual marijuana business, whether it be a cultivator, retailer, extractor, whatever, right? The plant touching business. This one's going to be a consultation company, right? And this one's going to handle all the administrative stuff, and this one's just going to be plant touching, right? And they think that's what they can do to escape 280E, and that way they can, this company right here is just admin, so we can get the deductions, we can get the credits and all that stuff, and then we'll just take the loss on this company, right? The thing with the IRS is they don't go off of entities per se. They go off of if this company right here is the admin company, right? Does it do admin for any other companies? No. Just your company? Okay, so we're going to lump all that together as an enterprise, and all of that's going to be one business, right? Because a business can be multiple entities. All that's going to be one business, and then both of those are going to be subject to 280E because this one primarily works with cannabis or marijuana. So, boom, and it'll shut you down when you get audited. Not when I say shut you down, it'll tear you up financially. And if you don't have the finances set aside and done properly, it'll tear your business up and you may be out of business the next year.
So let's talk about some of the businesses you do work with. What's some of the, I guess, specifically the biggest issues you deal with when you're speaking to a business owner, whether it's taxes, compliance, structure. Let's keep it, I guess, in the cannabis industry. What's some of the biggest things you hear and the feedback you get from canna entrepreneurs?
This is a canna and not canna problem, but speaking canna side, not everybody, most people are scared of the boogeyman. And when I say the boogeyman, it's the IRS, Uncle Sam, right? They're like, I don't even want to deal with it, or they don't even know the boogeyman is there. Okay, and so it's us having to educate the client after the fact because they didn't start off correctly. For instance, they haven't done their taxes for 3 years, and they say, "Hey, we want to bring you on to do, let's say, our 2020, 2021, and 2022 taxes." And so naturally, in order for us to do that, we're going to start with, okay, well, let's see your 2019 tax return first. And we're going to need to see your financials for these different years. So, because each year plays off of each other. A lot of people don't realize that. If you started your business in, let's say, 2020, let's say you have a certain amount of losses, well, those losses can carry over from year to year and help you in that facet, right? or same with assets and depreciation. So each year plays into each other, but the average business owner doesn't think that way. And so it's like, well, one, let's start back here so we can make sure all your financials are accurate, or your taxes are accurate based off your financials. But two, they don't have proper bookkeeping. They don't have proper internal processes in place to ensure that their finances are being tracked properly. So we've all heard of Hansel and Gretel, or I would assume everybody's heard of Hansel and Gretel. And in order to get back to their house, what were they doing? They were dropping breadcrumbs everywhere, right? And I use that analogy because when it comes to the IRS, right, and you get audited, you need to show those breadcrumbs to get back to how the finances got to how they got to. If you can't show that, then that's negligence. That's showing that you weren't in proper financial compliance, and you can't justify. If you can't justify, well, I had this much in cost of goods sold because la 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 la, or I had, we spent this much for whatever reason, then they're going to disallow that cost of goods sold or deduction, and again, that's going to tear your business up. And the IRS doesn't audit you immediately. It may take 2, 3, 4 years before you get audited. And so now you got to go 4 years back, maybe longer, and try and find those records. And then if you never had them, or if you didn't have it organized in a system, then it's going to hurt you and you're going to be subject to penalties. And think about this. As you get penalties, they're charging you interest. And as they charge you interest, the amount that you owe goes up exponentially. So let's say you owe $5,000 and they're charging 2% interest, right? And then 5,000 times the 2%, whatever number that is going to be charged. That new number is going to be charged 3 or 4%, right? Because the interest increases over time, and then whatever that new number is going to get charged 6%, and you're accruing more debt day by day. They charge interest day by day.
Wow.
So a lot of people don't realize the importance of financial compliance to their cannabis business. They got to make sure that when they get started, they have the proper individuals in place. We've talked with some clients. They have a manager doing their bookkeeping, right? But their manager that's doing the bookkeeping is not a bookkeeper. That's not their skill set. They're trying to do it on the fly. But when we look into the books, we're like, huh? You got your balance sheet is we're looking at cash as an asset, but it's negative 15,000. We're like, huh? Or and just stuff like that. Or this doesn't make sense here. It's not balancing. Or you allocated this incorrectly. So really, this number is not correct. And then, so imagine doing taxes on incorrect numbers. I'm gonna say this last thing. Now, if you look at some of the MSOs that are out there, that's a big problem that they're facing right now. So multi-state operators, they issued out financial statements to their partners, right? And so, or like, let's say a profit and loss. And so if I invested in this business and I'm expecting to get this return on my investment based off these financial statements, and then later an audit happens and they're like, no, these numbers aren't right. And I've already filed my taxes as the shareholder or a partner, and I'm what you told me was a lie. Everything that you issued me was a lie. It wasn't correct. You told us we were this profitable, but yet we weren't. We were barely profitable this year. And so off these imaginary figures, I've already, used those figures for myself on my tax return and for my business. And it's a big, it'll start making national news. I know I just said a lot in a short time frame, but yeah.
No, that's important stuff. I mean, I would think most Entrepreneurs, businesses are probably small businesses, right? A handful of employees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, some do, or some are just solo. Some of them, and that's the thing. I get it, right? Or we get it as Harvest AF. You're wearing multiple hats. You have to be the marketer, you have to be the sales rep, you have to be the bookkeeper, you have to be HR, you have to do all that stuff yourself because you may not have the finances in place to make that happen. And that's the constant battle. That's the war zone many mom and pop cannabis businesses are in due to marijuana being federally illegal, a Schedule 1 drug. They're having to figure out day to day, how can I make this work with what I have? And after a while, you got to cut corners, right? You're like, look, I can't afford it, or mentally, it's too much on my brain. I can't sleep at night. I have constant anxiety because I'm scared this is going to happen. And so, they cut corners and try to make it happen how they do. And then we come in and after the fact, they may try and bring us on, which, at least you're making some effort. And we're like, hey, all this right here, it's not correct.
Right. I want to get into Hemp for Victories. We got a few minutes left here, Corey, but why don't you, I guess, run down some of the services that Harvest offers and why it's so important when it comes to really any size business, but certainly small businesses, that their bookkeeping is on the up and up.
Okay, perfect. Well, at Harvest AF Financial Consulting, naturally we do financial consulting, right? But we handle bookkeeping, we handle taxes, and there's multiple facets of taxes. You got federal taxes, state taxes, local taxes, sales and use taxes, excise tax. It's a lot of taxes, right? So again, business owners, if you're not sure, hit us up and we can work with you on that, right? So we handle taxes. We also help with, we work with multiple accountants and CPAs. So if you have those needs, you can hit us up. Those are our main services. But if you have questions about any type of financial piece in the cannabis industry, you can hit us up. We have a really vast network that we work with very closely. And so it's like a megazord, if we're right here and if we don't have, the personnel for it, we can just, here's a leg right here. And now they're all part of our team. And then we can help you for whatever you need. So just ask.
Awesome. So let's get into Hemp for Victories. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, let's do it. So I am in the Army Reserves. Let's start off with that. So I'm a captain in the Army Reserves.
Awesome.
And I have a soft spot for my fellow comrades or veterans, or if they're currently serving. And, PTSD is huge within the military community. Depression, sleep anxiety, or just lack of sleep, the opioid pandemic, the VA is giving you 90-day supply of pills, hydrocodone or more addictive substances. And so now they got a Tic Tac box full of pills and they're just, shaking it up and popping it. And those pills have side effects to it, right? And so now you have all these different side effects going at play in your body, and you just feel like a shell of yourself, or they feel like a shell of themselves, right? So for hemp, what we do with Hemp for Victory, I'm one of the co-founders with many other veterans, outstanding veterans. What we do is we educate many different echelons of leadership, right? Whether it be the civilian sector, the military sector, we provide that education out there for the benefits of hemp, the benefits of cannabis, and how it can help you. It's not a miracle drug, and that's something that everybody has to understand. Cannabis is not a miracle drug, but it can help take you off some of those pills that you're on. If you're on 7 pills, it may drop you down to 3. That's what we're saying. And cannabis isn't bad for you. It's, if it's not, go to a professional. I would be wary of a drug dealer because, you want the cannabis that's specific to your needs versus taking a certain cannabis, and it may lead to psychosis due to the pills you're taking and all that stuff, right? You want to make sure that you have the right type of cannabis going in your system, not just taking anything. Well, you said this, and this. Yeah, but you're not using the right type. And Hemp For Victory was actually a marketing ploy by the United States Army back in World War II. So Hemp For Victory was pretty much just saying that they were calling for people to help with hemp textiles and use the hemp to further the fight for the United States Army. And so that it was a big time. This was before the illegality of the mass illegality of cannabis, right? So it was present during World War II time frame, and it was for a call to action for civilians and individuals alike to help. And now we're in another fight, but it's not on an actual battlefield. It's a fight at home internally within the households of veterans that are struggling with this opioid crisis and suicide and depression and all that. So it's our rallying cry and our nonprofit that we're using to not advocate, but just educate and help other veterans know that, hey, one, you're not alone, and two, cannabis is there to help you, and three, to help break down the social norms or the barriers that cannabis has with leadership out there that are making the decisions to not allow it for veterans and people of all backgrounds.
Excellent. It sounds like a great program. We're going to have all the links down below, so definitely go check it out and be a part of it as much as you can. Corey, thanks again. Appreciate you coming on the show today. Let everybody know the best place that they can find more of you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. You can find us on Instagram or any platform at Harvest AF. You can find us at the Cannabruhz. I just made a at the Dopest EA, DOPESTEA on IG. You can also find us on YouTube at, again, the Cannabruhz. And we just created Harvest_AF. And so that's going to be our platform that we're going to start uploading a lot more financial content and everything like that. And harvestaf.net. You can find us there as well.
Awesome. If you like content like this, make sure you go down and smash the like button for my man Corey here, and also subscribe to Dro TV so that you don't miss more excellent interviews and great guests like Corey. So thank you for everybody tuning in. Make sure you follow Harvest AF and the Cannabruhz. That's it for today, everybody. Catch you on the next one. Tuning into another episode on Dro TV. If you want to support us here at the channel, you can check out our brand new cannabis line of apparel. We have all high from all 50 states. I'm high from Florida, but you can go and be high from whatever state you are in white or black, a tank top, a hoodie, women's, men's. We've got all sizes for you. We do a lot of stuff for free here for you. That's how we like to do it. So if you can show us any kind of support, please head over to our Linktree, click on our Etsy shop, and go get yourself some sweet gear. When you get it, tag us, post it. We want to see where you're high from, all 50 states as well as a few countries, because we are worldwide, baby. Peace and love.